Wife cheated on me while she was out of town. A little background information. I'm a woman in her early 30s. My wife is in her mid-30s at the time of this writing. Married for more than 7 years, and have been together for 10 years. I believed, erroneously, that we were satisfied in working together on some core life goals that we all shared. I was plainly incorrect: debt payoff, retirement, traveling, etc. We'd been hard at work on the renovation of our home. That is to say, we had plans that we were actively debating at the time. Then there was the previous week. Without going into detail, I picked up my wife's phone after seeing it vibrating on the counter and dialed her phone number. She was holding it in the wrong direction. When she was out of town a few weeks back, I received a text message from the person with whom she had an affair. I then read further text messages from my wife to her friend, in which she brags about how wonderful it was and complains about being unable to walk the next morning. My heart skipped a beat when I read this. I made the decision to contact her immediately and inquire as to whether she was cheating. She was the first to confess it. I wanted to know why she did it, so I asked her. She expressed her dissatisfaction with the situation. I was curious as to what it was. It was she who informed me that her friends had advised her that she behaves differently when she is with me as opposed to when she is with them. She told me that she doesn't feel like herself while she's with me, and I agreed. She then expressed her dissatisfaction with her current situation in the bedroom. She acknowledged that she was under the influence of alcohol at the time of the occurrence, but she was positive that it was fully consensual on her part. He was regarded as easy to talk to, physically gorgeous, charming, and positive by his girlfriend. That night, we spoke for a number of hours about what you can expect in the next days. She said that she was unsure whether or not she wanted to save our relationship. She stated that she had damaged it too much, and that it would be easier not to try to fix it now. I intended to collect my belongings and leave that evening in order to get away. After a time, I changed my mind and informed her that I was not interested. I had no intention of leaving. She has denied the opportunity and I go. As a consequence, she decided to leave and stay at a friend's place. She returned early the next morning, unpacked a few belongings, and picked up the dogs from the kennel. We sat and spoke for a few more hours this time. I need to know how she was able to deceive me in such a blatant manner. Why she didn't talk to me about it before it got this far is something I really want to know. She merely proceeded to convey her apologies and remorse in the same manner. It was never once that she fell to her knees and begged for assistance, or to humbly seek forgiveness for nothing. We'd had enough and she left us for good. So she's now gone home with her folks, I reasoned, to sort things out and get her head on straight. I am well aware that I am a complete who is unable to function. I had a feeling she was as well. She has lately informed me that she has not shared this information with anybody, including her parents, since she is not yet ready. Fine. Okay, that's understandable. But we had a shared mobile phone plan, and I made the mistake of checking to see whether she had genuinely stopped talking to this person. Once again, I was overcome with sadness. There have been hundreds of text messages sent to and from them every day, all day, since the first time they had, including image messages. She says she isn't ready to communicate with anybody, yet she bombards this guy with hundreds of texts from the time she wakes up until the time she goes to bed. I also confronted her with the issue. Eventually, I suppose she realized I had had a look at our cell phone account and realized what she was talking about. I will not be spied on, she said emphatically, and she went on to say, and if I want to talk to him right now, I will do so. Afterwards, she went out and purchased her own cell phone. Asked what made this guy so special, the response was he's positive and easy to talk to. I was impressed. I'll also mention that he's married with 2 young children, which is a nice touch. We've decided to put a halt to all communication until Saturday or Sunday, at which point we'll resume contact as usual. I recommended that we meet in person instead of conversing on the phone to address the situation. In retrospect, I'm not persuaded that was the best course of action. I'm not a complete idiot. It's there in front of me. I can see it. Me and my wife, whom I had just met a month before, are no longer together. She seemed to be disinterested in me. Nothing about ourselves, nothing about our life. My dilemma right now is that I don't know what to do next. I'm saddened beyond all comprehension. The most I've been able to accomplish thus far is call a counselor and chat with him or her directly. My first appointment was this morning at 8:00 a.m. Above and beyond that, though I'm at a loss about what I should do next. I have a slew of questions for you. I'm interested in learning why this is the case. This was completely out of my control. My wife is just amazing. I'd want to have her back in my life. I'm completely befuddled, and I'm not sure how I'm going to cope with this hurt and treachery, especially because she shows no remorse and continues to communicate with this individual in question. I don't expect to get any replies. I'm well aware that many of my questions will never be answered. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to vent. Story 2. I cheated on my girlfriend, I told her, but I love her. What should I do? I confessed to my girlfriend that I had cheated on her about a month ago because I couldn't take the thought of continuing the way I was, and she understood. Everything seemed to be in order on the surface, so it was difficult to view the situation clearly. Everything looked to be better than normal, which was surprising considering how often we fought. We essentially went on a hiatus, mutually agreeing not to do anything because I requested the break, because I believed I needed some space to figure out what I needed to stop constantly getting into stupid fights. Mind you, I was 20 at the time, with a full-time 9-5 job at an office and full-time studies. On top of that, I was high-stressed due to familial issues, and not treating my mind, body, and soul in the best way I could, something I'm not proud of. I was regularly depleted of happiness, but it was amusingly found that she was the only thing that made me happy. However, this did not prevent us from having needless disagreements, which were usually triggered by my silly aggressions, fear and paranoia, among other things. It was a depressing time period. After everything was said and done, we agreed to take a break, and since she didn't want to do anything like that, see other people, I told myself that I wouldn't do anything like that either. We both agreed that this would just be a brief lull in communication. However, after a night out with my friends, I became inebriated and did something I later regretted. I began a relationship with someone. The guilt of knowing how pleased she would be to see me and how much she had been there for me through everything from my job to school to health issues caught up with me. But I couldn't say anything because I was too scared. I just concentrated on being the best BF I could be, and it eventually caught up with me. It was too much for me to bear any longer. So I informed her, and I'm still not sure whether it was the right option since she now despises me and doesn't trust me. So I'm not sure it was. All I can do is express my regret and seek her forgiveness, while also giving her the time and space she needs to sort things out on her own. I understand that I shouldn't expect anything from her, but I also understand that I will do all in my power to win her back, even if the chances are stacked against me. She's great, and I love her more than anything else. She's always been there for me, and I owe her a debt of gratitude that I will never be able to fully repay. As far as I can tell, we get along fine, and I managed to sabotage almost 3 years of work in one evening. For the time being, she has pledged not to discuss the situation with anybody, to give it some thought, and to keep in contact with me by text message just to check in. I'd want for her to come back. I am well aware that I am capable of doing better. I'm a complete, but I'm learning, and I'm certain that I can and will improve. While I can't expect her to welcome me back, and since our relationship hasn't been officially terminated yet, is there anything I can do to make things right? She claims that I'm not the man she fell in love with, and to be honest, I have no recollection of that man either. However, I know he's not completely gone, and that I can be that guy again. In fact, I'm confident I can be the best version of myself again. But first and foremost, I need to reflect and ensure that I won't do this to her again, and then figure out what I need to do to make that happen. I'm not sure what that entails, but it's something I'm willing to do.